A new report from the Wall Street Journal this morning says the White House is considering raising tariffs on a number of imported Chinese goods, including electric vehicles. Federal officials are growing concerned over China flooding the global market with clean energy exports at what some are calling, quote, unsustainably low prices. Right now, there are no Chinese automakers selling EVs to consumers in the United States. But BYD, the largest electric vehicle company in China, has said it has no immediate plans to enter the American market. And speaking of the Wall Street Journal, Congress passed the annual defense spending bill before recessing for the year, giving the Pentagon a record $886 billion budget for next year. And the Journal just highlighted this. But even with the massive war chest, with such a massive war chest, Wall Street Journal chief economics commentator Greg Ip says the United States simply can't keep up with how quickly China is building up its military. It's astounding. Greg Ip joins us now live. Greg, a pleasure to have you this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Markie.
So I just read, your recent article, the title of which is "The U.S. Can Afford a Bigger Military. We Just Can't Build It." And the comparisons that you make between our military and China's military are alarming. Just as one example, you say in the past 2 years, China's Navy has grown by 17 cruisers and destroyers. And right now it would take the United States 6 years to manufacture the same under current conditions. I guess, Greg, for starters, my question to you is, how did we get here?
Markie, I think you had sort of pointed two factors that have both been going on for many decades. First of all, with the end of the Cold War, our defense budget shrank, and so did the need to sort of maintain as large a defense industrial base to sustain that Cold War level of military. So the number of prime contractors shrank. The number of people working in things like shipyards also shrank. So that's just a reality. Now we face a more dangerous world, the type of high volume conflict that we haven't seen since, Vietnam, and we're just not ready to meet that. The second factor is that the entire U.S. industrial base, not just the defense industrial base, has shrunk in the last 30, 40 years. A lot of it migrated to East Asia in the last 2 decades to China. So the difficulties you see in our defense sector meeting demand are very much just the analog of the whole civilian sector's struggles to sort of keep up when you have things like the COVID pandemic and all the associated supply chain shocks that brought along.
Yeah, I know that is a loaded question. It's multifactorial for sure. What about this massive defense budget that Congress just approved that I mentioned off the top? I mean, does that put us on the right track to try to catch up with China, or no?
Look, it's obviously a start, but I think the key thing that I concluded in my column is that the money is not fundamentally the issue here. You can throw money at the problem, but if the defense industrial base is not there to supply it, you're not going to get the weapon systems and the platforms. In 2022, because we were sending so many Javelins to Ukraine, Biden and Lockheed Martin said we're going to double the production of Javelin anti-tank missiles by 2024. Oops. Turns out they can't do that. It'll take until 2026.
Wow.
We signed this pact with the UK and Australia to supply nuclear submarine technology, part of which is that we will supply several Virginia-class attack subs to the Australians. There's real concern that that will push the U.S. Navy below its needs because the Virginia-class program is 2 years behind, partly because we're taking workers from the Virginia-class attack sub program to try and catch up with the Columbia ballistic missile submarine program, which is also behind.
Oh, my gosh. The other question, Greg, as I was reading your article, I couldn't help but think, how widespread is this knowledge that we are that far behind China? As I was reading the article, I thought, is making this kind of information so public, is that detrimental to national security? And does that arm China with the knowledge that they have the upper hand? Or is that so widely known among militaries across the world?
It's pretty widely known, Markie. I mean, this is not a secret at all. In fact, the Pentagon is so concerned about this, they've actually about to issue their first ever comprehensive report on the defense industrial base. Their senior officials have been banging the drum, warning us about this for a very long time. It's been the subject of countless congressional reports and so on. Look, the fact that China knows more about us than we know about them is simply a consequence of the fact that we're an open society and theirs is a closed society, and we have to put up with this. The benefit of us being an open society is that with the information out there in the public, whether it is through Congress or through reporting like the Wall Street Journal, that hopefully the people who are in a position to do something about this get the message and act. And they are acting. It's just going to take a little while to sort of like get up to where we need to be.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.